Angela and Tony Medina, with over a decade of experience and over 400 plus homes sold. Welcome. Not only are you both very successful individually, collectively, but also as a family unit, I definitely want to dig into what makes it work today.
All right.
Because especially nowadays, it's hard. It's hard as to be a professional, and it's hard to balance a family.
Yeah.
Sometimes people feel like we're going crazy. Every time I look at you both, refresh, I'm like, wow, how do they do it? What is the secret sauce? Are
Yeah.
we ready?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
All
do it.
right. What made you fall in love with real estate, and how does it feel doing it with your partner?
Definitely problem solving
Mhm.
would be my top answer to that. It's just in real estate, there's so many different scenarios that could happen. Even if being over a decade in real estate, there's still so much to learn. And solving difficult situation for a client, especially if everybody's getting emotional to a certain point before closing, it's really giving me fulfillment. Say, like, yes, I've helped this family and they're happy because I was able to perform, close the deal, even if everybody is chipping in, doing whatever needs to be done, just so this family could either sell their house, move on, or buy this house and move in. Besides that, I just love the hustle of real estate. You know, the personal growth that you get from learning so much stuff in skills. I love that part as well.
How is it like though, doing it with your husband by your side? Because I mean, I've definitely seen these teams, right? Not only in
Yeah.
real estate but in other type of markets. Okay, it can be very difficult. It can be challenging. One has one mindset, the other one has a different mindset.
Yeah.
What is the best thing working with Tony, and what is the challenging part of it?
One my favorite coach told me this before. A lot of times our greatest strength is also our greatest weakness. Tony and I are very different personality. We're opposite, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's helping us thrive, because on moments that we're different, we could actually think differently on different situation and solve that problem for a client. But on moments that were the same, it helps us grow further, push ourselves. I like to be out of my comfort zone a lot of
Right.
times. And sometimes Tony doesn't prefer that way. So I push him to go a little bit more, even though he's uncomfortable. And I think that helps him too. And at the same time, a lot of times when I'm too much pushing myself or him out there, he'd be like, slow down. I'm like, okay, you're right. Too much. I forgot, we're raising kids as well. So it goes hand in hand.
Wow. So Tony, would you say it's a nice balance for both
Yeah.
of you guys?
Yeah, I'll double click on that. So it's an extreme blessing to be able to share this journey with my wife. And like she was saying, we have opposite personalities. One thing that I've learned over the years is that most couples, most married individuals tend to fall in love with their partner because they have something, their strength is their weakness. And that's definitely the case in our situation. She pushes me. She is the rock in our career. She has double the work ethic of almost anybody I've ever met before. And I've been extremely blessed to have that rub off on me, because I learned along the way that our relationship, very often it's like a mirror. Her strengths reflect my weaknesses and the things that I need to work on and refine within my own journey, and vice versa. One of the best things as far as working together is that she tends to connect with people that are like her, and I can connect really well with people that are like me. So when we
Right.
find somebody that is in a situation that might align better with my style, I step in. And very often, most often, I mean, most people prefer her over me.
Good
But
cop, bad cop.
good cop, bad
you
cop.
know?
But on the rare occasion, sometimes I'll step in.
So am I free to say that maybe adaptation in each one of
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
it's one of your greatest strengths as a team, as a couple, adapting to each particular client, which brings me to my next question. Even as an individual that, like my wife doesn't work in the same industry, but it can test you when you get home.
Yeah.
In your case, you guys are working the same industry, same files, same problems. Okay, give me one situation where you were both truly tested and how do you came above it?
I think there's a lot of situations where we're both tested on a file, nights I can't sleep. Or it's just I'm so irritated because, this happened with a client and, you know, um, and it's pouring out of work, from work to home.
Mm-hmm.
We're not perfect a lot of
I
times.
think
We have
what we do
moments that it
after
doesn't go well.
that
Is
Mhm.
what's important. But so if the situation gets intense inside the house because of, we're so stressed out at work, we just try to think, well, gratitude. I'm super blessed to have Tony. So
Wow.
after that, maybe we'll apologize to each other. Or maybe
Happens a
we'll
lot.
just, I think Tony is much better of a character with that. And then we just move on. Really, it's, we move on. We
Mhm.
just don't dwell in it
Mm-hmm.
for too long. And we just move on and find a solution.
Wow.
So we try to find, ask people like, hey, how do you do this? Like, hey, who should I call? Like, how do we solve this problem? Instead of just dwelling in it.
Yeah. So if I can double click on that real fast. One of the things that's really been a blessing in our marriage has been surrounding ourselves with wise counsel. The men's group that I've been a part of called the Super Squad, shout out Super Squad. I've been walking with these men for a little over 5 years now. And not just them, but their wives, their families have stepped into our lives to be counsel. So when we come across challenges within our own marriage, we bring it to people that we respect, people that have been down this road before, husbands and wives with 20, 30, 40 years plus of marriage
Wow.
that can step in and shed some light. But one thing that I had to learn along the way that really helps with this, there's a couple of books. I think it was called The Efficient Executive that talks about, and Angela's great at this. When you're at work, it's all about work. We're giving it 121%. We're focused on it when we're there, so that when we go home, we're not still at work. Because had to learn when I step through those doors, my kids do not care how hard my day was. They just want to play. So I need to take that realtor hat off and put on the dad hat the moment I walk through the door and flip that switch. And this is time. This is precious time that I have to spend with them. So I have to put my phone down. Angela tells us all the time: put your phone on silent, put it away, and focus. Be in the moment. Be present in the marriage and as a parent.
Wow, that's great advice. That's great advice. Um, I mean, what I'm hearing, it takes a lot of hard work. It doesn't just happen overnight.
It has to be very intentional.
Very intentional. Just right, very intentional. Let me ask you another question. Why do people trust you? As a personal level, as realtors, as a couple, they're making the biggest decision of their lives. One of them, which is buying a house, selling a house. It can be very emotional. It's a roller coaster of emotions.
Great question.
Anything can happen. Why do people trust you?
Yeah. Well, I know that integrity means doing the right thing when no one's watching. Why do I deserve people's trust can be a little bit different than maybe sometimes why they initially trust me. Why people trust us sometimes, it varies from person to person. For a lot of people, it's because we show up on time, we're prepared, professionally dressed, we take our job seriously, and we know what we're doing. I mean, after doing this for a decade, we know exactly what it takes to get homes sold, to get buyers to the finish line, and help people accomplish their goals. Making it about them and not about us is key in that it's not about me. It's about my client and what's most important to them and accomplishing their goal. But when I reflect on, well, why do I deserve that trust in the first place? And how can people trust me to put their needs first? Really boils back to my faith and understanding that I do the right thing because I know Jesus is always watching. I know my higher power is always watching, and I have a constant conversation with him. There's moments where it's like, I want to do something that naturally borderline unethical, but my integrity is worth more than a paycheck. I don't look at the check. I look at helping people accomplish their goals and doing it in a way that they're going to be extremely happy or grateful, so that then, and this is a byproduct, then they refer us to other people, because over 80% of our business comes from repeat and referral business.
Right.
So my number one goal is to provide the best experience possible so that people will want to do that.
Wow.
As you're talking, I'm thinking you've competed with expireds for sold by owner, not just our database past clients and center of influence, right? And these are people that we just met for the first time, and why would you list for purchase price sometimes almost $1 million? Like, why would you want to do that? So, and then we would compete with other agents. So what makes us special,
Right.
that you would hire us? And I think it's really the connection that we make, the image that we put out there. In real estate, you're a public figure.
Right.
You can't just be posting stupid stuff out there. I don't know if that should be blocked, but but the image we put out there, the way we dress, I think people want to see real estate as a professional. I mean, gosh, we're equity of a home sometimes, like 500, 600,000 equity. We're helping those people get those out from their home. So I think the connection that we make, and not only that, the image, the way we make them feel, it's about them. It's not about us. And also, early on in our career, we didn't know about this stuff. We're trained to ask questions, make it about them and not about us. So it's very helpful over the years to experience also in the knowledge that we have because of so many different situations. I think that helps people trust us, because if they ask us a question, especially in expired, what happened to this? What happened to that? When we have an answer, now they'll feel more comfortable. She knows what she's talking about. Yeah. So now I trust you a little bit more.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. It's about how you make people feel.
I think most people are looking for three things. Most people are looking for integrity, energy, and competence. They want to know that you have integrity and that they can trust you. They want to know that you have the energy to go out and fight to protect their equity, or fight through a negotiation and get them to the finish line, or look out for their best interest throughout a transaction. And then competence. Common sense is not so common these days. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry in the real estate business is a low bar, which is probably sheds light on 80% of agents don't make it past the first year, 90% past the second year. Those things are extremely important. I think most sellers are looking for that. So if we can provide that, that goes a long way there.
Absolutely. Tony, what is Angela's superpower?
Angela's superpower. I think Angela's...
Be careful.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I think this is a trick question. No, I think Angela's superpower is her desire to thrive in life. It's her desire to thrive in any area. She doesn't just want to settle, whether it be at work or as a parent or as a spouse. If she approaches or takes on a task, she goes above and beyond. It's like last time we were talking about the meeting when she was 9 months pregnant at 7 a.m., leading the charge. That is real. 24/7.
I was there. That's the one story I actually, when talking about, it's crazy. The one story when people ask me about you, that's the first story I say, how committed you are. I remember 7 a.m. you were pregnant, and so same question to you. What is Tony's superpower?
I envy this of Tony, because he connects to people so easy. Gosh, he makes you cry so easy, right?
Yeah, all the time.
So, and he puts sense of humor to it, which when I'm looking at myself, I'm like, I have to think about this. It's hard for me to have that connection with people, first conversation. He's just so approachable, easy to talk to. I think that's one of his superpowers. I think another thing is he's humble. He would be more humble than me.
He's about to cry over there. I see some tears. I see the watery eyes.
I'm trying to make it dramatic so he would, I can't make him cry that easy.
Wow.
Go ahead.
It's obvious. The way you guys look at each other, to me, it's fascinating, because The business we're in, it's a great business. We're very blessed to be in it,
Oh, I
but
agree,
sometimes
100%.
the amount of stress and pressure, sometimes it can bring a different side out of us that, man, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And to me, it's very refreshing seeing a couple, married people, and just the way you guys are looking at each other and talking about each other, instead of like, man, we need to do this closing and stuff. Like, it's very refreshing.
Oh, we have
So-
our moments, Vic. Believe
We're not
me.
gonna share those
yeah,
right
we're
now.
not. We're not gonna talk about that.
Which, I mean, leads me to my next question. It's obviously we learn through these questions. What is the key? What is the secret sauce to keeping a balance, guys? I know you guys talk about communication at the beginning, turning off the phones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm sorry, but there's got to be a little more than that. Because I can turn off the phone, right?
Yeah.
But what is it that keeps me not connected? Because I'm the type of person, I'm just gonna check and see if I have an email and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What is the secret sauce to keeping your balance?
Have plenty of kids. Because at that time you won't have any time to look at your phone because you're too busy catering. No, just kidding. No, but to some extent it is true. When you're too busy catering to your kids, I think the mindset behind that for me is that my kids need me and they're not going to be kids forever. And it's also the gratitude I have kids and they're healthy and I want to cherish all these moments. So typically won't have time to look at my phone, scroll on social media, check my text messages or my email because I want to be here. I want to enjoy them, or I have to serve them food. Things like that. So, in a way, it's true. Like you're busy with them, so you're not.
Just keep your mind away from things.
Exactly.
Wow.
And I think another thing for me, the one of the major glue on avoiding all that tension at home, or even if there is, how do we get past those tension? Because it's hard to keep a balance. And honestly, I still don't know the secret sauce of balance. To me, I feel like there's really no balance. It's always going to be season when there's going to be more of work or more of family or, more in our ministry. And we just day by day, what is it on the schedule?
Wow.
And then the next day, okay, then we just look day by day, which to me is kind of difficult because I'm more like a long-term, I look at the plan long-term. And I think that's one thing that Tony is really good at is he looks day by day. And he reminds me like, hey, Angela, like you're looking too far ahead, which gives me anxiety. So you gotta one day at a time or 1 week at a time. Let's just think about
today.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And I think one major glue for us is we're Christ believer. So on days that really hard tension, and it's not just because of work, but it's also because of our marriage and because of kids, because of ministry, because of immediate family. Because we are Christ believer, we try to thrive on what would Jesus do? We look for answers in the Bible. We look for counsel from people who are faith believers as well. So they give us advice and we follow as much as we can. And I think that's one of the glue of our marriage, because we, just like everybody else, we have our own personal struggle, marriage struggle, family struggle, and put it all together, it's such a mess.
Right. Yeah.
So we're not different than any other families or realtors out there. We have our own mess. But I think one thing that makes us different is that we want to know what Jesus would do. And, we have an instruction in the Bible.
Wow. Wow.
So
how do we deal with pride, or competition between husband and wife, because that's a real thing, and what do we do with that, So how do we surpass that?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Couple quick things, because I could talk about this for a few hours. But a few things that I think are really important. Number one is always, to the best of my ability, I'm asking myself, how can I serve you? Because my job is to make her life easier. Christ has taught me that it is my job as a husband to cherish my wife. Not to change her, but to accept her fully as she is. Men tend to, we crave respect. And when we feel disrespected, we start to fester these resentments. And when we put Christ in the center and we look at what Jesus would do, Jesus died for us. So a lot of times he asks me to die to my ego. It's not about me. I should have already been dead. There's plenty of things that could have taken me off the face of the planet. The fact that I'm still here today and I have this beautiful lady, this beautiful career, these beautiful kids, I'm abundantly blessed. So it is not my job to change my spouse. It is my job to look at what I can do better to better serve my family. There's a great book by John Maxwell called Failing Forward, and this principle translates into career as well. The takeaway from the book was he interviewed the top Fortune 500 company CEOs, and the common trait amongst them was how they interpreted failure. A lot of times, even in marriage and in career and as a parent, there's moments where I feel like a failure. But the way that they interpret failure is one of, what can I learn from this? And taking away lessons from every failure completely shifts the mindset and how you look at these things that initially you might consider to be a failure. Now it turns into a lesson for you to continue to get better and better. And then the counsel piece, that is spot on. Having people who have walked down this path before us to help us when we can't see a way out, and we all have these blind spots that we're not even aware of, and having these people that know us and love us, that can speak into our marriage and speak into our careers, I think is what I attribute a lot of that to.
Always a powerful message with this, man.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Almost
Well, I have one last final question, guys. We've all have memorable transactions. I have my share, but there's always one transaction that I'm like, my gosh, I always refer back because, of an emotional feeling, right? It's all about, you're going to carry an emotion forever.
Yeah.
What has been the one transaction in your career that was just extremely memorable that you guys will never forget?
You go first.
You want me to go first? So I got two. One quick one. Early on in my career, I go, we're calling expired listings, people who are unsuccessful in selling their home. And I go out and I meet with this couple that the agent dropped the ball on. And the wife asked me if I'd like a glass of water. Water in the desert is always a good idea. So I have this glass of water, and I kid you not, as I went to go take a sip, my hand wouldn't stop shaking. And the water's like falling on the table, and I put it back down. And the reason that that's always stuck with me was because the first time I stood up to give a presentation, I almost sat back down. Mm-hmm. It is in the repetition of having done it thousands of times that now I go into an appointment and my hand no longer shakes. And I always remember that moment when it shook. And I'm grateful for just the opportunities to keep getting back up and keep pushing through that nervousness, that initial fear. But one of the transactions that has stuck with me the longest, I think I'll never forget him, Charles Barr. It was a cold call. I called this gentleman out of the blue, and he was living in a mobile home. And he was renting his mobile home, and I said, hey, we just sold a home. When do you plan on moving? And he goes, well, I have this mobile home. I'm 60 years old. I've never owned a home before, and I've always thought about it. And we just started having this conversation. I invited him into the office. We got him qualified. He sold the mobile home. He got into his first house, and then 2 years later, the property appreciated by like $50,000. So we helped him sell that house, get into another property that had a pool, and now he's getting married, and he's got this beautiful house. He started with, this mobile home, and then now he wants to retire, and he ended up cashing out over $200,000 in equity. And it's just, he turns around, he goes, it was just because of that phone call that you made 7-8 years ago that I was able to get here. So
one decision could change your life.
Right.
What about you, Angela?
One of the memorable, there's a lot, but one of my top memorable is when we went to compete for sell by owner. So this guy is something else, like the owner. Basically, we competed with maybe 50 something agents. It's a lot of agents that he had interviewed.
Wow.
I brought it to my broker, Juan Martinez, and he said, are you sure this is an actual legit seller, or he's just fishing for presentation and see what other agents do for their presentation? And I'm like, you know what? I don't know. But we moved forward with it. We really worked hard on getting that one listing. I did door knocking the area. We did open house for his house.
Before she got the contract.
Before the contract. And then ultimately, I was competing with this really top agent, been in the business for so long. I should not drop names, but he would call me, this particular agent, in the middle of the night, like, I don't know, 7 or 8. And he would poach me as to be in his team. And I said, I can't do that, but I'm curious, what do you have to offer? Anyway, so ultimately it's just between me and him, right? And of course, I'm so nervous. I'm fairly new in the market, and this is my very first sale by owner. And then after 50 something agents that he's interviewed, he hired us, this for sale by owner guy, to represent him. And that is such a great feeling, because can you imagine competing with over 50 agents? I'm pretty sure some of them are great agents, especially this last agent that I was competing, done thousands of homes, been in the market for decades. And yet I was chosen to, we were chosen to represent this for sale by owner. And then, of course, we put under contract and close successfully. So to me, that was one of our great accomplishments. That was a first for sale by owner that we have taken.
Well, guys, it's definitely been amazing getting to know both of you better. I mean, I know you both individually and collectively, but today I think I got more of an insight as far as the household situation. How does it work? Because it's very difficult, especially nowadays with all the stressors, all the craziness going on. To be able to hear your experience. How do you balance being a top producing agent, selling hundreds of homes, and all the experience you have, but also maintaining a great quality life, not only for you but for your kids and your faith? I mean, that's just a recipe for success and winning in every aspect of your life. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for opening up, and we'll interview you guys again soon, and we'll see where you guys are at.
Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you, Vic.